I've been delegated from Unions WA Retired Members Division. My name is Alan Woodcraft, and I'm here as a member of the AMWU Retired Members Division. We're going to hear a lot soon about the Anzac spirit, and so I wanted to get into the mood by suggesting that in terms of retired workers and the Abbott government, and Abbott in particular, Abbott is actually somebody who's missing in action. And he's not just missing in action, he's actually forming a fifth column, and he's actually sabotaging the lives of retired people and retired workers and pensioners in this country. Our members here are fearful that they are going to be able to survive on the pension. The kind of spirit, I say the spirit, but I mean the negative feelings about this is that all that the kind of rich want is for us to actually finish our finish our working lives, and instead of a retirement, they will just give us a cyanide pill, and that will be the end of it. That's the kind of sort of feeling that we have. So I've labelled this speech "Money for War but Cuts to Welfare," and I haven't heard much information about what Abbott's actually doing in terms of the budget. It doesn't seem to have been broadcast very much, but last year under the Labour government, I think it was 1.6% of GDP going to the military budget. And this year, Abbott's pumped that up to 1.8%. And not only that, they're going to keep increasing the military budget until it gets 2% in 10 years' time. And what is amazing about this is that military commentators are wondering where they're going to spend all this money. There's a huge amount of money. 2% might not sound much, but it's a vast amount of money. And what are they going to do with it? So, I'm representing the Unions WA retired members, and as I say, the Unions retired members are actually fearful. They're fearful that they're not going to be able to sort of even keep the family home, and they're fearful about becoming homeless. They're fearful that they might not be able to pay their medical bills. They're fearful that they might not even have enough food to eat. In fact, that's always the case. So, unfortunately, the retired members, Unions WA, were actually out there trying to convince people before the election that Joe Hockey was a kind of a demon. Because I don't know if you've heard about Joe Hockey and his the end of the age of entitlement speech. I don't know if you've heard about that, but he actually made a speech, and you can Google Joe Hockey, end of the entitlement, end of the age of entitlement, and you can find this speech. It was made a couple of years ago, but I mean I don't think the website is still there. And what Joe Hockey actually says is that we can't afford welfare. We actually have to cut welfare. We actually have to get rid of it. So what do you think the response from Union WA Retired Members Division was? Well, the first response was to say, well, since 1946, since the Chiefly government, and it has been continuous from 1946, there has been a 7.5% income tax contribution for the aged pension. So everybody who's been paying tax since 1946 has been contributing 7.5% to the age pension. So, I mean, like, and members feel a bit safe, you know, we're actually entitled to a pension. But other people want to say, no, you're not entitled to a pension, this is just a revenue raising. And there we are. I mean, it's not enshrined in law. We actually want, and this is one of the demands that we actually have, is that the Greens enshrine in law our right to a pension, because it's not enshrined in law. There were other responses in terms of, okay, we're going to cut through all the kind of sort of legal rigmarole, and we're actually going to get down to the nitty-gritty. And the nitty-gritty is that workers produce all the wealth. And the fact is that we actually have 90% of the population working and producing all the wealth, but they only get back 20%. Where there's a 10%, and they don't do much work, in fact they do sweet out of aid, and they get 80% of the wealth. And this is the situation which is so deplorable and so disgusting about the current system that we have. But it's worse than that, because the people who have the wealth, and it's kind of sort of hanging around in these large national companies and other kind of sort of assets that they have, but they don't use the wealth. There's actually huge amounts of wealth. It's rolling around, squashing around in their bank accounts, squashing around, and they don't do anything with it. And what happens? They invest it, they speculate with it. And it's because of this wealth speculation that we can actually understand where the 2008 global financial crisis came from. It was due to speculation from the wealthy who've actually monopolised the wealth and speculated with it. A few more major points to make. I've been asked to wind up, so I'll start to speed up. How come we got into this situation in the first place? How come we got this disgusting Abbott government? How come? The first thing is that they lied to us. And it wasn't just lies, it was complicit from the media. We had people like Murdoch, who are actually big buffoons. They actually don't know what's going on in the world, but they do know how to be self-serving. So we actually have the media. And the second point, scapegoating the refugees. It's actually in the media all the time. And it actually goes back to this idea that we're under siege and that we do need all this massive military expenditure. These refugees are going to come and they're going to destroy our lives, and we actually have to fight back somewhere. And it's not just that. The military orientation of this country is grotesque, because the Anzac spirit, supposedly, the birth of our nation, didn't happen at the Gallipoli landing. The slaughter happened at the Gallipoli landing, but the actual birth of the nation was the slaughter of indigenous people, and it's still going on. It's still going on. So that actually brings us to the point where, how do we stop this budget? And it's quite simple, really. We go on strike. We actually stop it. Because the argument about who produces the wealth, I mean, what happens if we all stop work for a month? Nothing gets produced. And even if you don't believe that workers produce 100% of the wealth, even if we just stop work, no wealth will be produced. And it really, really hurts the bastards, yeah? This is the budget is for the rich, and the best way to stop that budget is to go on strike. And we've actually had, on the 12th of June, out east, we actually had a lot of AMWU members, working members. And I fundamentally disagree with the idea of people power. People power is good, but workers' power is better. Because when workers go on strike, the bosses get hit. When people like me go on strike, retired workers, nothing happens. So I'm here as a retired member asking workers to go on strike, because I can't go on strike myself. Unions WA Retired Members Division is completely against raising the retirement age, completely. As far as we're concerned, it should be reduced. Every year this system, this capitalist system, is increasing its productivity, and the amount of wealth that can be produced and the amount of productivity in the system is so much that we could actually organise a really beautiful society. And that's what we want. We want actually workers to take control, and we want a reduction in retirement age. And if there are any retired unionists out there who want to get engaged, who want to get engaged with the Unions WA Retired Members Division, please contact Unions WA. Thank you very much.